All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we are going to now get into talking about, or more about, the benching of Daniel Jones and just some of the reactions from some of the players, specifically Dexter Lawrence. So, per Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports, he said there is a sense of disappointment about the decision, and players are upset that it was primarily a financial decision. Because in Daniel Jones' contract, there's that, that scenario where if he gets hurt, then the Giants are going to have to owe him more money. And that's something that was similar to with Derek Carr a couple years ago. They benched him and they started Jarrett Stidham. So it's kind of the same thing here. Not only, and the other thing too is, not only is Daniel Jones not the backup, not only now is he not the third string, he is now the fourth string quarterback. They brought in Tim Boyle now. So Daniel Jones is just completely done. Like there is literally zero chance that we see him the rest of the year. And this is what Dexter Lawrence had to say. He's the QB1. To me, he's the best quarterback on the team. Brian Dable also said, commenting on Dexter Lawrence's comments, everybody's not going to agree with the decision, and I understand that. There's also an anonymous player talking to Schultz. He said, we're not idiots. They did it because of money, so be it. But Daniel has been all class, never complained, and is now being completely disregarded. The team record is bad. You can point fingers everywhere. To try to blame him is trash, and making him third string is weak. Now, he did say a couple of other words, but I'm not going to bring that up. So Jones has 2 years remaining on his contract and is set to earn $30 million in 2025 and $46.5 million in 2026. Within his contract lies a clause that states if he were to suffer an injury that prevented him from being able to pass a physical next March, the Giants would owe him $23 million whether he is on the team or not. If he is on the team on the fifth day of the 2025 league year in March, $12 million of his 2025 salary would become guaranteed. Should the Giants release or trade Jones this offseason, they would incur a dead money salary cap hit of $22.21 million on their 2025 cap. They can spread the dead money hit across 2 seasons if they designate him as a post-June 1st release or trade him after June 1st. Now, look, there are other problems with the Giants besides Daniel Jones, but I think he is one of the main problems. He has not been good. And had he had played better this season, then we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. He would not be benched. If the Giants were competing for a playoff spot at this very moment, this would not be a problem. But there really wasn't anything. If Daniel Jones went out there and, he passed for, 4,500 yards and, had 30-plus touchdowns and, 10 picks, then okay. Like, maybe this could finally be it for him, where he continues to be the quarterback. But he was not going to have that kind of season. It was never going to happen. And, I went into this year, I didn't have high expectations. I did say the Giants would win maybe 7 games. I thought that was doable just because, last year, they were competitive towards the end and, they won games that they shouldn't have, which hurt their draft positioning. But you know what? They showed that, hey, we got a pulse. So I thought going into this year, you gave Daniel Jones another weapon in Malik Neighbors. They tried to improve the offensive line. The defense was going to be better, you thought. You thought that maybe they could at least be competitive. And to be honest, though, in some of these games they have been competitive. It's just the problem is they end up losing. I still don't understand how they won that game in Seattle. That still does not make sense to me. And then their only other win is against the Browns. But, they did lose to the Panthers by 3 points, although I think they should have beaten the Panthers. But I guess, the Panthers are the better team now. They lost to the Commanders by 5. They lost to the Steelers by 8. The Bengals, they shut down that offense. They did. but their offense could not score any points. The Eagles, they kept it close for a little bit, but the Eagles pulled away. Cowboys, they only lost by 5. They had a kicker against the Commanders. You only lost by 3. They've lost a decent amount of one-score games this year. But look, they're just not a good team. And part of that is Daniel Jones. I mean, Daniel Jones has 8 touchdown passes to 7 interceptions. It's not good. It's not good. He's not a difference maker. And again, his peak was his rookie season, in my opinion. 24 touchdowns to 12 picks. Where's that Daniel Jones? That's the Daniel Jones I want with those numbers. We never got that. 2022, 15 touchdown passes. That's it. He's not a difference maker. And again, I do feel bad because it's just, but that's part of the business, you know. I don't, you know, I'm not going to be like one of these Giant fans, like, you know, people burning his jersey in the. Oh, wait, no, that was Barkley. They were burning his jersey, but you know, the Daniel Jones's jersey is probably getting, you know, burned in parking lots because, you know, that's what people do. You know, it is unfortunate because he is, you know, seems like, I mean, I'm saying he's a nice kid. He's a nice guy. You know, he's tough, and, you know, it's not all entirely his fault, but it's just, he just wasn't the answer. And, you know, I did bring this up. It wasn't easy. He had to go through 3 different coordinators and 3 different head coaches. You know, it's just, it's not easy. And, you know, the Giants have been a team that just has not been able to get themselves back to what they once were for a long time. They have flopped on a lot of draft picks, and he was one of them. And a lot of, you know, free agent signings. It's an organizational thing. And had things been different, Daniel Jones would not have been a Giant. You know, it's just, it wasn't the right pick. It wasn't. Now, the Giants eventually needed a replacement for Eli Manning, but, you know, it's just, that Dave Gettleman era, just, that was one of the biggest flops of the Dave Gettleman era, is just taking Daniel Jones. Because on one hand, they were like, we want Eli to have another chance at getting a Super Bowl, but then on the other hand, you're like, all right, we got to draft his replacement. And they took him with the 6th pick, Daniel Jones. Instead of, hey, let's get a pass rusher. Let's, you know, get an offensive lineman. Now, let's get a quarterback that's going to sit behind Eli. Now, eventually, Daniel Jones did take over for Eli that year, but it's just, they probably should have let go of Eli. And now, when you look back at Eli Manning's career, Eli Manning got benched for Daniel Jones and Geno Smith. Now, Geno Smith, look, you know, been doing all right with Seattle, but, you know, you get benched for Daniel Jones, and the Giants just never really went anywhere with him. They did go to the playoffs, but that was, I guess you could look at that as an aberration. Because other than that year, Giants did nothing. So, Daniel Jones will end up on another team. He will. But it just didn't work out with the Giants. And I understand, you know, Dexter Lawrence and Daniel Jones got drafted the same year. You know, they've been teammates for a long time. I understand the frustration. I get it from a business aspect, and it's just, it's silly. You know, it's like, oh, this is just for a money thing from their perspective. But the Giants want to move off of him, and they don't want to have to pay him more money than they have to. That's why he's the 4th string. Not even the 3rd string. He's the 4th string. They brought in Tim Boyle to be the 3rd string quarterback. Now, if you look at all these guys, between DeVito, Drew Lock, Tim Boyle, Daniel Jones, Is Daniel Jones the best quarterback of the four? Yes. But they had to make a change. He wasn't playing good, and they don't want to owe him more money. That's where we're at. And look, I mean, my friends and I go back and forth on Daniel Jones, but in the end, would I have wanted to see him prove me wrong? Yes. But he just never did. And, I talked about the head coaches and, GMs, but the injuries have played a part too. It's been a combination of things. He just took a step back. He regressed. And I saw it from day one this season when they played the Vikings. Offense could not do anything. But then you had some flashes where you're like, wow, they won in Seattle. And it's just, then you thought like, okay, they could win some more games. No, the Giants are just, New York football, it's rough. And when is it going to get better? Who knows? But hopefully, being a Giant fans out there, they take the right quarterback, and that ends up being the next guy, whoever it is, for the next, 15 years. But only time will tell. But let me know what you guys think about, the Giants' decision to bench Daniel Jones. What were your thoughts on it? How do you feel about the players and their displeasure with it? Let me know any thoughts you may have in the comments. And that is pretty much it for the show for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to check out all the other shows as well. We will be back again tomorrow. Same time to preview the upcoming games this weekend. We'll get to see the return of Tommy Cutlets against the Buccaneers. Mike Evans actually will be coming back this week for the Bucs, so that's huge. I'm hoping they can make a run at the playoffs. They definitely still have a chance. It's probably going to be, trying to win the division. But, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the video. And as always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.